What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the High Tempo Sports Podcast, episode 208. Today, we are back to talk about some fantasy football. I am joined by Seth and Ivan, as always. How are you guys doing today?
Good, how are you?
Hello.
I'm doing great. It's we've had some warm weather here in mid-Michigan. It's been kind of weird. I don't actually know how much I like it. The NBA just tipped off this week. Ivan, your Phoenix Suns, big dub last night against the Warriors.
Good game. Got to limit turnovers, though.
Yeah, that they'll do that. What about Bradley Beal? Why didn't he play?
I actually don't know.
Back injury, I think.
Yeah. He was like ruled out. He wasn't even questionable. So
It's the start of the season. That's just like really, it was
that's unfortunate.
really weird. But they looked really good, and I think that there's no worries about who's going to play point guard. Booker looks like he can do it just fine. Speaking of the NBA, if you missed it, I did a NBA X Factor for every team episode with my radio co-host Matt Griffin. So go check that out. It's like an insanely long episode. It's like 3 hours long. Really hope this one's not 3 hours long because the Pistons are on in 2 hours. So we can go like an hour and a half if we want to. But yeah, today we are here to do a fun idea because I was thinking about this. I told Seth, like, there's not a lot to talk about in fantasy right now. There wasn't many big injuries. There's no buys this week. There wasn't any major waiver ads. What are we going to do? And I figured let's do another rest of season ranking. And Ivan came up with a great idea of doing a draft of basically the rest of season rankings. We did one a few weeks back where we picked, and I'm going to pull that up actually, like just to see how it's kind of changed. But yeah, we did a rest of season ranking like 3 or 4 weeks ago. And now we're basically doing the updated version of that in a draft. So we'll explain that a little bit more when we get to it. But first, we need to go over boom or bust. It's been an unfortunate run of boom or bust. Last week, we had a little bit of a poor week. This week, Seth goes 0 for 4 with the boom or bust. Devontae Adams, boom, did not hit. Christian McCaffrey, bust, did not hit. Romeo Doubs, boom, did not hit. And Lamar Jackson, bust, was the furthest from hitting, sadly. So you're still at 8 on the season.
I'll take that.
Ivan also goes 0 for 4. And not only did Ivan go 0 for 4, but he damn near pulled off the reverse boom or bust, where if they flipped, they would have almost hit. Mike Evans would have been 0.5 off. Aaron Jones, boom, did not hit. Mike Evans, bust, did not hit. Bills defense, boom, still waiting on the defensive boom, did not hit. And then Jahmyr Gibbs, bust, had his breakout game in a bad game against the Ravens. You were also still at 8 on the year. But don't worry, guys. All hope is not lost, as I got 3 out of 4 this week. Much needed. We couldn't. If we go 0 for 12, I think we stop doing boom or bust.
I agree.
Mark Andrews, boom, hit against the Lions. Marquise Brown, bust, also hit. Went the Bijan boom, and I just I don't even taking responsibility for that one, man. What happened there? He got a headache, and I'm not gonna tell anyone until halftime.
Yeah,
seemed kind of messed up. And then Raheem Mostert, bust, did hit as well. So I'm up to 9 on the year. I still only am 1 above you guys. But in general, how was your guys' fantasy weeks this week? This past week, I guess.
Oh, good. I went 2 for 2, so
it's not bad. 1 in the important league, which is most important.
I did the elusive sweep. I think every league I was in got a dub.
There's nothing better than that.
There isn't.
That's like an incredible weekend right there.
You wake up on Tuesday, you just feel so good about your life choices. You're like, I can't do anything wrong.
And I had a terrible weekend. I won in fantasy at least. Jordan Addison, though, made it tight. But with the MSU game and then the Lions game, just an all-around bad weekend, hoping that this weekend can be a lot better. So, yeah, before we even hop into this draft, why don't we get our boom-bust picks for Week 8 out of the way right now, just because we have a lot of talking about to do in this draft. It could take a while. So, are you guys ready to do boom bust for Week 8?
ready.
I'm ready.
All right, Week 8, boom or bust. Seth, why don't you tip it off? We need to recover this week. Actually, wait, I forgot. I have to give you guys my proposed rule for boom or bust. I think that we need to outlaw choosing our own players to boom that are on our own fantasy team.
Okay.
I think it needs to be outlawed because last week both of Seth's boom picks were on his own team. Ivan had 1, which isn't bad. I had 1. None of them hit. None of them even got close to hitting. So I just think that we are, like, as a unit, our bias cannot come into play here. Unless it is just like a clear, like, okay, that's fine type thing.
Yeah, that's fair.
But I don't know. I feel that we should not choose our own players to boom.
Can we choose our own players to bust?
Yeah, that's
Okay.
totally fair. I think that's definitely allowed.
All right.
But I think that from this point on, I at least personally, I will not be choosing any of my own guys to boom because it's harming our overall record.
It is.
Our bias and our hopes are getting in the way.
And it also hurts in fantasy. It's a double negative.
And there's nothing worse than that.
It's
Exactly. So with all that being said, Seth, why don't you start us off with a boom or bust?
Going 0 for 4 last week hurts. So I'm going to be hunting for, at least one. And what better way to start it off with Kareem Hunt. 11.6 going up against Seattle.
I like that pick. Obviously, Jerome Ford. What did you say that they described his injury as this week?
Low grade, high ankle sprain.
What does that even mean?
It's low grade, but it's high.
It's high. It's
But
high on that
so
ankle.
is it high in terms of where it's at on the ankle? Is that
It's got to
what that
be,
means?
yeah, that's got to be the relativity of the location.
Because a high ankle sprain is bad.
Yes.
Right.
And then the
ankle
low
sprain
grade
is
is just
bad.
must be the lowest version of a high ankle.
But the high makes it it's higher on his ankle,
Yes.
going towards the calf.
Yeah.
That would be my guess. Either way, though, it looks like he's not going to play. So, 11.6 for Kareem Hunt. I was just talking about this with Ivan. Pierre Strong. Maybe you pick him up if you have Jerome Ford or if you're just in a deep league where you can afford to stash Pierre Strong because maybe he'll get a good amount of carries. But Kareem Hunt, 11.6 boom. I'm a fan of that pick. Ivan, why don't you give us a boom or bust?
I'm going to go with my first boom pick of the week. It's going to be Breece Hall. He's projected 15.7.
I really like that pick as well. I have a bunch of names written down like I did last week, and Breece Hall is one of them. Not sure if I'll pick him yet, but he definitely was on my mind because they're playing against the Giants, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I think so. I think that if he scores a touchdown, he booms. That's just kind of how I feel. He's going to get the catches. He's going to run. He's going to maybe get touchdowns. That's easy. Okay. So ruling out my own logic, I have to cross off Joe Mixon, boom, because he's on my team. I'm going to start off with a boom. Actually, no, I'm starting off with a bust. I'm going to start off with a bust. Tyreek Hill bust this week. I know. Weird. 23.7. Look, Tyreek Hill's got the Q tag next to him, which, he's still going to play. He ain't going to sit out. But they're going up against the Patriots. Tyreek Hill has never really had an absurd game against the Patriots. This Patriots defense isn't insane or anything, but even earlier this year when they played, he had 15 points with a touchdown. So I think that if any team in the world is going to limit him to, what does he have to get? Less than 18.7, I think it's the Patriots. So I'm rocking with the Tyreek Hill bust this week. It's the stupidest bust pick you could ever make.
I like it because
I
the
like it.
Patriots they
Solid.
had a really good scheme.
Yeah, they
this
just
game.
basically we're
And
not
they-
going to let Tyreek get the ball.
And they Tyreek's gonna get his work, but they probably aren't gonna need to pass that much in the second half.
Exactly.
Also,
That's
so
kinda
And
how
they
I
just put the
think.
clamps on the Bills, so it's
And the Dolphins struggled to run the ball last week, so they might try to get back into that groove again this week. So that's kind of where I'm at with the Tyreek bust. Seth, give me a boom and or bust.
all right, I'll go with a bust. I've got Tony Pollard this week, projected 19.2, going against a tough Rams D-line.
I like that pick. I actually also have Tony Pollard bust written down here. It's quite high. He's coming off of a game. His last game before the bye week was an average game, so hopefully
Yeah.
this Rams defense has been pretty solid. Last week, who'd the Rams play last week? I just had it in my mind.
Yes, the
Steelers.
Steelers.
Yeah, and that was
actually got torched. But
they did. Yeah, they got
Najee
torched by
and Warren
Najee
both
and Warren.
scored.
That's right.
Yeah, but the Steelers cheated in the end.
Yeah.
Is all that really
and the
matters.
Rams aren't very good.
You guys want to know who actually cheated, dude? Did you guys see the end of the Browns-Colts game this past week?
I heard.
Yeah.
I didn't watch it, but I heard the NFL
Yeah, it's so
apologized.
they the Colts forced a fumble on with the Browns had literally 20 seconds left in the game. The Colts were up by 2 points. Colts forced a fumble. DeForest Buckner picked it up, scooped it. They ran it, got down. Game's gonna be over. And then after the play is over, a flag is thrown, and it was roughing the passer, and it was not roughing the passer. It totally wasn't. And the Colts lose the game. The Browns ended up winning, and it was just it was very, very questionable. And Jim Irsay, the Colts owner, who is also he's just one of them owners. That's I'm the owner type guy. He made a whole statement about how the NFL is rigged and everything. So I thought that was funny. But yeah, the Colts got absolutely robbed.
Yeah, there was a questionable PI call there at the end of the game in the fourth quarter too, right?
Mm-hmm. There was. So it was Colts really got screwed over by the refs. So it's tough to see. Okay, so you went Tony Pollard bust. Ivan, give me another one.
Tony Pollard bust.
Wow, he's riding it with Seth. Whoa, pause. Yeah, so I think that I like that pick as well, but I'm not going with the three-way ride.
I feel like that's just
Another
too.
pause.
I think that's a little too we can't have all of our chips in there. So I'll rock with a different one. So here's what I'm debating between. I'll kind of talk this through with you guys. I got the T. Higgins boom and the the Joe Burrow boom written down. I feel like one of them is going to happen, maybe both. I can't pick them both as my booms. I think I'm going to go with the Joe Burrow boom, actually. I think I'm going to go Joe Burrow boom. Predicted 16.4. They're going against San Fran. So you're like, whoa, why are you picking that? Because maybe Kirk Cousins just torched this 49ers defense. And I think that Joe Burrow coming off of a bye, another week of getting healthy, I think that he could probably have another big week. So I'm going to rock with Joe Burrow boom at 16.4. Feel like he can get 21.4 if he throws like 2 or 3 touchdowns. But I also could see T. Higgins having a big game here as well. They kind of need to get him involved to unleash this offense back to where it was before he got hurt. So that is my first boom pick. Seth, give us your second boom or bust.
I'm going to say this out loud, and I kind of want your guys' opinions on this. I'm going to go with my other bust here. And I'm really leaning towards Josh Jacobs, although it's a modest projection, 16.1 versus Detroit, who obviously we know has a very solid run game. But I also have Jordan Addison on here, projected 14.7 going up against Jair Alexander, who we know has been clamps on some top receivers this year.
And he's probably pissed that he doesn't get to go up against Jefferson, too.
Exactly. So I think he's going to make a statement. So I'm 50-50 on this, and I think I'm going to go Josh Jacobs bust 16.1 versus Detroit.
Okay. I'm actually I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt because I wrote down Josh Jacobs bust and his projection got up to 16.3.
I'll take it.
So you get a little bit of discount there.
Yes.
It was on sale, so
huge.
Jacobs bust. I wrote it down too because the trend was Lions RBs or RBs against the Lions bust. Last week we couldn't do it because who's starting Gus Edwards, and Gus Edwards absolutely boomed all over the Lions. So maybe they got to try and get back to that this week. I wrote down boom, and I meant to write down bust for you, so that's what I meant to do. All right, Ivan, give me your next boom and or bust.
Yeah, you're keeping me from talking a lot here. I hate to put all my eggs in one basket, but I have Burrow boom as well.
Okay. You think he can go off against San Fran?
I do.
That's good.
I think I don't see a scenario where Joe Burrow should ever be projected 16. To me, these like top quarterbacks, it don't matter they're playing a good team. Like he's gonna probably throw for 2 touchdowns and probably throw for 250 yards.
Mm-hmm. And if he throws for 3 touchdowns, he gets 21 points. Right. Like, what is it? 4 points for a touchdown?
It's even more. He'd have more than 21 if he threw 3.
Yeah.
Like he can probably get to 21 with 2.
Yeah, I think he could too. Mm-hmm. And if he scrambles a little bit, who knows? But yeah, I like that pick a lot. I probably should have went with T. Higgins then to let you have Joe Burrow on your own, but I didn't. So okay, for me, like I said, I'm not gonna double up here and pick the Brees boom. So for my last, do I want to go with my last bust or my last? Okay, I'm gonna go with my last bust here. And I'm picking another quarterback. I got 2 QBs this week. Patrick Mahomes bust this week. High projection at 24.3. That is an absurd projection. Going up against Denver, you're like, whoa, Denver's like the worst pass defense in the entire NFL. And run defense, actually. Pacheco's got a high projection of like 17 point something. I actually almost did a Pacheco boom, even though...
Someone in that offense is going to bust.
Exactly. They played against the Broncos 2 weeks ago. This is their second time playing them in 3 weeks. Mahomes was held to 18 fantasy points. He threw for 300 yards, but he only had 1 touchdown. So I feel like if Pacheco goes crazy, so this is kind of like a Pacheco boom pick as well, but I'm going with the Mahomes bust. I think that just 24.3 is so high. Like it really is a high projection. Also, I remember I debated doing the Mahomes boom last week, and I didn't. And I really wish I would have because it obviously hit. But I'm lowering the tone back down for Mahomes this week. So, all right, Seth, give me your last boom pick.
My last boom, sticking with the elite quarterback trend, Jared Goff, 16.2 versus the Raiders. I just feel like they're lowballing him here, and the Raiders have a solid run game, I think he's going to carve up that secondary.
I really, really hope so. we need to blow out the Raiders this week to get a little bit of a confidence back. And Goff, boom, hit a couple weeks back. It wasn't as high of a projection. He was picked like 13 or something that week, which is crazy. All right, Ivan, give me your last bust pick.
Yeah, it takes a lot of cojones to do this again, but I'm going to go with Gibbs bust. I don't want him to bust, but I see the Lions coming back. We're going to have a good game. We're going to go up, and I think Craig Reynolds will out carry him just off of the score and like the situation. So I'm kind of gambling on that. 19's a little high.
Is it 19 what?
19.
Might be 19 like 5. 2, okay.
So yeah.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you in the fact too, because like last week Gibbs boom, but in a really like, I mean let's be real, it was garbage time boom. Basically, they just kind of fed him like he had 9 catches, he scored that touchdown, which I'm happy he got his first touchdown, scored it before Jameson Williams, which is kind of, or I mean Jameson Williams scored it before he did, but it came in garbage time, so I think that this week there's no way they get. Like, it could be a close game against the Raiders. Definitely not going to be the same situation as it was against the Ravens. So I like that pick. I mean, I hope it doesn't happen, obviously, but I think we can win just fine, even if he has 14 fantasy points. So, okay, for me, my last boom pick, I'm debating here. I'm going to cross out the Pacheco boom, so I'm between two. Laporta boom is sitting there looking at me right in the face, and I'm staring it down, and we're having a stare off. And I don't know if I want to pick it. And I don't think I'm going to because I think I like this other pick more. I'm going with a lot of top dogs this week. I'm going to go with the Cooper Kupp boom this week. 19.1 projection. Going up against Dallas. I know you're like, that's a tough one to pick for that. I just think that in a game against Dallas and a great defense, obviously Steelers were a good defense too. I just think Stafford is going to be really looking to get it to Kupp. Last week, Puka Nacua had a huge game. I think that Kupp can't be silenced 2 straight games. And like I said, anytime you get a Kupp projection under 20, you got to take advantage of that because he don't score to under 20 very often. So I'm going to rock with Cooper Kupp, boom, as my final pick there. And hopefully we can go off this week, man, because it's been some rough weeks.
Yeah, it would be nice for our overall squad.
We got to try to run it back up to 40-some%. We'll have to do the math after this.
We have to remember, we are going through some bye weeks before. We got a full week this week.
That's true. And if we go 12 for 12, it would be pretty nuts. All right, let's get into this draft idea that Ivan brought to the table. Ivan, you kind of want to basically like explain what we're doing.
So basically, we're gonna do a rest of season draft. It'll be 30 picks in total, 10 each. We're not building a roster. We're just gonna take, in our opinion, the best player available at every pick. And, yeah, we're just going to see what it kind of looks like. And there might be some guys up there that we didn't anticipate would be up there at the start of the year. So, yeah, that's kind of the idea.
Yeah, and I think that it's going to be really fun because it's always fun to compare it to how – I love going back and looking at the pre-draft or, like, the draft that was done before the season because it's just so funny to think. Like, a guy – we talked about this before, but, like, Raheem Mostert. Like, he would be so cool to have right now, but where are we going to have him going forward for rest of season? I don't really know. All right, let's determine the draft order here first.
Yep.
Like Ivan said, it's going to be 3 teams in quotation marks, but they're not really teams. It's just like 30 players drafted because there's 3 of us. And then, like we said, the teams don't really matter. Like if you don't have a quarterback, that's fine. It's basically what you think the top 30 would be in a redraft right now. How do we want to determine this draft order? Do we just want to do like... All right, you get the first pick.
That's fair.
He gets the first pick for not doing it. I'll be second. You'll be third.
Okay.
Cool. So Ivan has the first pick. I have second, and I'm writing this down on Excel, but I will read off what the order has been. Obviously, quite frequently for you guys and for the listeners. So Ivan, back when we did our redraft or our rest of season rankings, at least personally for me. We had Christian McCaffrey ranked number 1 as a number 1 running back. We had Justin Jefferson ranked as a number 1 receiver. Have either of those changed for you?
Justin Jefferson has changed.
Yes.
I still think rest of season, the best player to have in fantasy is Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah, I don't really think there's a debate. I don't know who else you would take. If Jets was healthy, maybe.
It's just like, even if Jets was averaging what McCaffrey's averaging, a running back doing it is more valuable.
Yes.
So, it's just McCaffrey.
I totally agree with you there. Seth, who are you going to take? Oh, no, I have the second. I have the second overall pick. Okay. So looking back at my rankings that we did, like you talked about running back as the most valuable spot. I had Bijan Robinson as a second running back that you want the rest of the season. I think you guys might have also had him at least 2 or 3. It's changed, and I hate to say it because I'm a Bijan Robinson owner, but he's not quite there anymore. He's had some, especially coming off this weird headache thing that was just, I don't think it's a red alert as far as going forward. Like, he just wasn't healthy to play. But he just hasn't. Algier's been getting more carries week in and week out. So it's not going to be him for me. Taking a look at the other running backs, obviously, that I could take, Travis Etienne has been phenomenal so far this year. He scored 2 touchdowns in the last 3 weeks. I'm definitely considering him. Austin Eckler, you'd hope, can kind of step it up here at some point. But I don't think I'm going to go. I don't think I'm going to go to the running back spot. I think I have to take Tyreek Hill here. I just think that Tyreek, the positional value will be nice with running back, but he is just a guaranteed 18 every single week at minimum. This offense is insane. Even when they play good defenses like last week, he still has a good game. So I'm picking Tyreek Hill.
Yeah, I thought there's a strong case. If there was a strong case, it's going to be Tyreek Hill for number 1 over McCaffrey.
Yeah.
I think that's solid. At 2, like you said, the positional value at running back would be nice, but there's no way that I can pass on Stephon Diggs at 3. He's just so solid in elite offense. I mean, he's guaranteed at least 17, 18 every week.
Mm-hmm. And his floor is pretty incredible. He's averaging 22.4 fantasy points right now, second-ranked wide receiver. So I definitely like that pick, but you have back-to-back picks here. So this is where things start to get kind of sticky. Do you want to move to that running back spot? Do you want to say, hey, there's Travis Kelce sitting there, for that tight end position value? Where are you kind of at?
And this is where it gets really difficult because obviously you're looking, like you said, you got to go to tight end and you got to see really what Kelce brings to the table. Maybe this is where you mix in a running back. I just don't see it. I think if I had the 4th pick, I would go right back to the well, and I think I would go A.J. Brown. Another explosive receiver. I mean, honestly, Devontae Smith is kind of fading out of this offense a little bit, and it has been all A.J. Brown all year, and I don't see that changing.
Yeah, I think, and A.J. Brown, like literally after the first 2 weeks, has just been an absolute man on a mission. I mean, if we take a look at his game log ever since, because the first 2 weeks he had 14.9 week 1, 6.9 in week 2. Since then, 22, 38, 18, 20, and 30. I mean, he has just been absolutely going ballistic.
And that's coming with only 3 touchdowns. So,
yeah.
I mean, in yardage-wise, he's going over 120 every single week.
Mm-hmm. And it's scary when you play against A.J. Brown because he's starting to get to that tier where it's like he could get 40 and he's going to get 20.
Exactly.
So, like, those guys like Tyreek Hill are so scary.
It's more or less like not like what I need him to get under 15. It's like, let's try to limit damage here. I'm happy with a good 24.
Exactly. I would rather have that than 35.
Yeah.
Okay, so for me, this is a tough spot because I do think that like the Travis Kelce pick like definitely has to be considered here. I really do think that Cooper Kupp, like I still would love to have him going forward. I know he's coming off of an iffy week. The positional value thing, like at running back, definitely makes a lot of sense. And I think if there is a guy, it is Travis Etienne. I think like Breece Hall obviously is in that talk. Eckler is obviously still there. And this is hard. Because like, okay, here's a question for you guys. How big does the 2 more weeks of Justin Jefferson being out play into this? Because it could be more than 2 weeks, obviously. But
is that 2 weeks of injury or 1
2
week?
weeks of IR.
And then the bye as well.
Their bye's not till like later in the year.
So that's a guaranteed 3 weeks you're going to miss.
Guaranteed 3 weeks you're going to miss.
That hurts. It really does.
I think it plays into it quite a lot.
Yeah, I think so. I wasn't like considering taking him here. I was just kind of want to see what your guys' thought process was there. I think I am going to take Travis Etienne here. I know that he is not like the touchdowns obviously is something that just isn't going to continue as much as like you would love for it to. But he has really solidified himself as I think the RB2 going forward. I know that Mostert has been phenomenal. But when Etienne comes back, like Mostert probably just will have games where he's not the best. And Etienne, like I said, these last 3 weeks, 36, 23, 22, even the 2 games before that without a touchdown had 10 and 18. So I think that he's kind of getting to that point where he's a lock to get you 18 plus every game because he just gets those red zone looks. So I'm going to rock with ETN. Ivan, back-to-back picks here.
Yeah, I think it would be almost disrespectful for this guy to drop any farther. He's had a shaky year a little bit, but Jamar Chase, to me, I think the argument's there where he is maybe not number one, but two. Like, you know what I mean? Him and AJ Brown, to me, it's Jamar over AJ, but that's opinion. Like, I really think Jamar could finish the rest of the year and be the wide receiver one. Like, it's just so possible. And yeah, he's gonna be my pick there. I think those wide receivers, it's tough to rank after Tyreek. I do think Tyreek has solidified himself as the one.
Yeah. I think he definitely has.
Absolutely.
And then after that, it's kind of
Diggs, Jamar, and AJ. They're gonna get you 18.
Mm-hmm. I think you could argue any of those guys over each other too.
They're gonna get you 18. So then it just turns into who's gonna score more touchdowns, and then it's still you don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Jamar just always has that potential to go for 50, so that gives him a little bump in my mind.
Definitely.
So yeah, it's gonna be Jamar, and then this next pick, it's pretty tough for me. I have a guy I want to take,
but is it too early?
I'm not sure. I think Travis Kelce should go here.
Yeah.
He's proven the positional advantage is still there. He's averaging 20 now a game. Yeah, so I think that's very valuable. I think he should still be there.
And is he number one overall tight end now?
Yeah, he's almost 30 points ahead of Hawkinson, who's number 2.
That's crazy.
And I mean, Kelce, missed the first 2 weeks?
He
missed the first game, but then also he has one mediocre game in there too.
I mean, he's unreal.
Yeah, and it's at tight end.
I think the stat last year was you could have taken away his 5 highest scoring weeks, he still would have been the tight end one by
that's
I think
actually
30
insane.
Points.
And there won't be another tight end drafted in this, by the way, which that's what shows you how elite it is to have him on your team. Ivan, maybe you should trade him to me. Would you actually? Okay, this isn't even just for you because you have Kelce, but just in general, if you draft Travis Kelce, do you ever trade him?
Yeah, I think we talked about it a couple weeks ago. I think you can't, honestly, unless there's another tight end that's kind of like Hawkinson right now that is solidifying himself. I am the second best tight end in the NFL. I will give you 15
and it has to
game,
be for him.
And it has to be for him. Just because you build around your team and you lose so much of projection just trading him. In the season, it's so hard because when you're drafting, you don't think about the projection every week. But having a guy projected 18 in your tight end spot is
most guys have a projection of 10 basically.
Right. And it's just so elite and it gives you an edge to every other team.
Yeah.
I mean, you have the highest projection in our league by a handful every single week, basically. And it starts with Travis Kelce, obviously. I mean, even because you can still draft guys that are lower in the rankings that are going to be projected the same as a guy drafted 4 rounds earlier, just because of a weekly matchup, basically. But Travis Kelce is always going to have 5+ points more of a projection than any other tight end, basically. So, you can't trade Travis Kelce. So the first 7 picks, if you have missed, were Christian McCaffrey, Tyreek Hill, Stephon Diggs, AJ Brown, Travis Etienne, Jamar Chase, and Travis Kelce. So I am picking the 8th overall pick here. Oh man, this is where things start to get sticky, because like I said, we're not drafting for a team. So me not having I don't need to worry about picking a running back because I already have one. That doesn't matter. It's just about who I think would go in a regular draft. I do think that Devontae Adams still needs to be talked about here. I think that Keenan Allen definitely is in major play here. He's just been so good all season. There's a couple other guys that I really do like at this spot, but I do think I'm going to take Keenan Allen. I know he had kind of a rougher week last week against the Chiefs. I think they kind of just had one in general. Also, Keenan Allen hasn't dealt with an injury so far this year, which is huge because it's something that has affected him the last several years. I think there's other wide receivers that you definitely could argue that you would want over Keenan. But I just think that with the production he's shown, I have to take him here because I don't see it slowing down. Even the 9.5 last week, I think that easily could be his worst game of the year.
Right.
And so that's why I'm taking him here at this spot.
All right, so then I have back-to-back here.
Yes, you do.
This one, I could see it being a little bit of a surprise, but I have, with my next pick, Alvin Kamara.
Okay.
And my reasoning behind that is because the last couple of years, you kind of really didn't know what you're going to get with Alvin Kamara. They tried to go full receiver mode. They tried to go full running back last year. This year, it looks like he's back to the Kamara of 3 years ago when he was being taken as considerably the number one overall running back. He's getting 12 receptions, 13 receptions. If he's not getting those receptions, he's getting in the end zone. He looks like he's a bona fide 18 points a week for you.
He literally, he's gotten 17 points in his 4 games this year. And like you said, the one game where he only had 3 receptions, he had 22 carries in.
Exactly.
And every other game, he's had less than 20 carries.
They are getting him the ball however they can.
And it's almost sick because they're literally losing because of it.
No, I was just going to say that.
He is not helping them.
No.
Derek Carr is just bailing out. He's not. It's his first read, dude. He's just hitting him.
Literally that Thursday night game the other night, Derek Carr snaps the ball. Every single play, he just stares at Alvin Kamara for like 3 seconds and then like kind of decides, all right, I'm either going to throw it to him or I'm going to get rid of it. Like it's actually absurd how his like, because they were 2-1, I think, before he came back. And like Kamara's good, but I think it's honestly more on Derek Carr. I think he is so honed in on like, I need to give it to Kamara. I don't know why he thinks that.
It's like a McCaffrey on the Panthers type of thing. He just is their offense, and to me, he just doesn't have to be.
No, he doesn't.
For them to win, but obviously fantasy wise, I think it's a great pick.
Yeah.
Yes.
But like you got guys out there, dude. You got to get them the ball. Olave needs the ball.
Yeah.
Michael Thomas.
Olave was so pissed off he couldn't wait to get home from the practice facility.
There's just guys on that team that just need the ball.
Yeah. It's actually like it's so weird to me. And it, like you said, it's a great pick for fantasy. Obviously, in real life, what are the Saints doing? Like they're a bottom 3 NFL team to watch play football right now. Like it is painful to watch them play. All right, Seth, who is the 10th overall player here? Kamara was just the 3rd RB off the board.
So this is number 10. I'm gonna go a receiver. Maybe not who you guys are thinking. But this guy looks like he started off the year. He was pretty solid, pretty consistent. Then he kind of exploded.
I know who it is.
Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Yep.
I mean, he's wide receiver number 9. He put up a 30-piece the week before last, 23 last year. This guy is always a safety blanket on that Lions offense. He's getting his no matter what. And, I mean, you can't pass on him here.
Yeah, I mean, he has just been, especially the last 2 weeks, has really exploded. And I think that they've shown as well in games, crucial games. This Ravens game is a little bit different because it was just a blowout immediately. But in some big games, Amon-Ra St. Brown is the guy they want to kick it off with. You know, the Chiefs game scored the touchdown first. The Bucs game scored the touchdown first after the offense kind of looked a little bit shaky to start off. So I think that he is the engine that gets the offense going, obviously, along with that run game as well. Big fan of that Amon-Ra pick. He looks like he is just hitting his stride right now in fantasy, right when Ivan trades for him. Just awesome. Okay, moving on here. I'm in a tough spot because I really do think that the positional value really starts to come into play here. Like when you look at the receivers that are on the board, Devontae Adams still being here, like is a great pick and everything. Yeah, I have to debate here between a couple. I am going to take a running back though. I think that there is some running backs here that have just been pretty damn good so far this year, and I think they will continue to be good. I'm thinking between Kenneth Walker III. He has obviously already had his bye so far this year, but he's averaging 17 fantasy points a game. He has had a really good season so far. I think that Raheem Mostert does have to be in this talk. I mean, I know, like I talked about earlier, he's not going to finish as RB2 like he is right now, but he's averaging 21 fantasy points per game. Like he has been that dude. Even with Achane, he still has big games. I think I'm gonna. Oh man, this actually is so hard because I really want to take him. I think I'm going to take Tony Pollard. It's a risky pick. I am going to take him over Austin Eckler. I know it sounds really shaky, but I just think Pollard still is, as long as there's no one else in this offense, he's going to be very good and still have a solid floor. He's had a couple 8 or 9 point weeks, which is definitely a bit scary. But I think you still feel comfortable if Tony Pollard is like your RB1 essentially. But I think you could argue taking Saquon or taking even like Isaiah Pacheco or maybe even Breece Hall like over Tony Pollard. But I'm going to rock with Pollard here. All right, Ivan. You were on the board here, back-to-back picks. I will give a quick update to what we have so far. It has been McCaffrey, Tyreek, Diggs, A.J. Brown, Travis Etienne, Jamar Chase, Travis Kelce, Keenan Allen, Alvin Kamara, Amon-Ra St. Brown, and Tony Pollard. So there's been 4 RBs taken off the board and 7 receivers. I think that's math. Who are you taking with these picks?
Yeah, there's a lot of names that I've got.
I don't really like the Tony Pollard pick.
Yeah, I'm pretty shocked you took.
Like now that I'm thinking about it, like I just.
Ivan hasn't submitted his answer yet.
I'm gonna switch it. I think I'm taking K9 over Tony Pollard.
Okay.
And I think that like you could definitely take Austin Eckler here once again. But I think I'm taking.
Shocked. I feel like I'm shocked
Over Bijan.
Yeah.
Dude, it's.
I don't necessarily think it's wrong. I'm just shocked.
No, I know, and I've been really biased on Bijan. I'm still like hopeful, but it's just even the week before last, he had the same amount of carries as Algier, and then Cordero got a lot of work. Cordero had his first game, which I think that is like kind of huge. So I'm just like a little bit worried, I guess, but I'm taking K9 over Bijan.
You know, I got just a little bit of a bone to pick with you because you're a State fan.
Yes.
I would like to mention that K9, I think, is my least favorite running back to watch in the NFL.
Why is that?
And it's simply because he's going 18 to 20
good.
carries a game. The games where he's getting 20 carries for 40 yards and 3 touchdowns are the most frustrating thing to watch.
Yeah,
it is the Derrick Henry treatment 100%.
I will say though, like K9 isn't like bad though.
No.
Like he is a phenomenal cutter and making guys miss. But yes, he does have games where he has very inefficient games and still gets hella touchdowns.
He's that guy where like you're playing him in fantasy and it's like you look at the stat line, it's like why does he have 32 yards and 30 points?
Yeah, that's a good point. And that he be getting them touchdowns so far this year. He has what does he have? He has 2, 4, 5, 6 touchdowns in only 6 games so far this year. So that's pretty impressive. All right, Ivan, give me your back-to-back picks here.
Yeah, I've got one guy that I want to take so bad, and like I really think like when I look back, I'm gonna be like, God, I should have done it because it's probably gonna happen. But there's like Eckler still being there is bothering me a lot. But we're talking about a rest of season draft. Did you guys watch the Chargers game last week?
I watched actually the Rams Steelers more than I watched that game.
He doesn't look fully back. So how long is this going to take?
Mm-hmm.
And maybe has the offense changed a little? Just like not necessarily just it's just because they didn't have him. And Keenan has been playing great.
And in years past, the offense like surrounded around
Eckler.
Eckler.
Yeah.
But like now they're throwing the ball down the field more. But also, are they going to go back to Eckler because they're 2-4?
Yes.
So like, what are they going to do? I think I'm going to take Eckler. I don't want to.
It seems like he shouldn't fall.
The name that I wanted to say was Brees or Saquon. I think both of those guys, I could see them finishing top 5 in running back, especially Brees. Just because, like, he is, like these guys, they are the offense. And, like, Saquon is that. Brees is that. McCaffrey is that. So those kind of guys are, Kamara is that. Like, they have, like, that extra step.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm actually going to switch my pick to Saquon.
Okay. Well, you have 2 picks, so you could take both.
I'm going to take Kupp with the other one.
Oh.
I think he's just fallen. A little, not like fallen, but
no,
I think
definitely
this
is
a
fallen.
respectable spot for him to go.
Yeah.
I low-key should have taken him over K9 now that I'm thinking about it.
You probably because if you were drafting, you would.
Yeah, exactly. I guess I just kind of wanted to take one of the running backs that were on the board. Kupp definitely fell quite a bit. Okay, so now I'm taking a look at this, right? It's my pick. The last few picks, in case you're wondering, were Amon-Ra St. Brown, K9, Saquon, and Cooper Kupp. So this is the 5, 9, 13. This is the 14th overall pick here. I think, looking at the current board of the wide receivers that are left, if Cooper Kupp would have been here, it would have been a totally different story. Based on who is here, I'm sorry, Seth. I know Devontae Adams is here. I think this is where I'm taking Justin Jefferson. I think that, you deal with 2 more weeks. I get that he has a bye, but guess what? So do a lot of other dudes. Like, the bye week is whatever. I think the injury is the more important thing. If he misses more than these 2 other weeks, then it becomes okay, that was a bad pick kind of thing. But only 2 weeks left. The Vikings have won both of those games, which I think is super important because
that was huge for that was huge.
They're not going to shut everyone down and trade Kirk and not play Jets the rest of the year. Like, they actually look like they could compete to even win the NFC North. Like, as much as I'm like hate to say that, like they could make the playoffs
I'm seeing
for
stuff
sure.
This week, they're contenders.
Yeah, well, that's the NFL for you, week to week basic. Yeah,
but like I'm saying, like you win a couple games when you're in that conversation, which I think. I mean, their defense has been playing great. I understand. We will mop the floor with them twice.
I hope so. I also saw a stat though that we have not swept the Vikings in like over 20 years or something. But this is the year to do it. We also play them twice in 3 weeks, so. But yeah, I think this is the spot where you take Jets just based on the other receivers that are on the board. It's mainly like Devontae Adams is the big one. Like CeeDee Lamb, I think is still another guy that is there. I'm trying to like think if there's any other like big names that I'm forgetting about. Not really. I mean, like Puka Nacua, like I guess maybe. But yeah, I'm gonna take Jets here.
Okay. Well, that makes my pick very, very easy because I was between Jets and Devontae Adams in this slot, and I think I go Devontae Adams now because Jets is gone.
Yep.
Shaky year for him, but he's still averaging 16.7 points. He's still Devontae Adams. Vocally, he's said that he's upset with the team, and he wants the fucking ball. So, can I say that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure. He wants the effing ball. So, still Devontae Adams. Still got to put him here. Next, this one might be a little surprise, but I'm going to go DeAndre Swift.
Ooh.
He's the RB6 on the year. He's averaging 15. He just came off a bad week last week where he put up 10. But other than that, he is right around 15 plus every single week. For running back behind the best offensive line in football, it's not going to get much worse than that for him.
Yeah, I like to pick of Swift. I think that he had a somewhat of a shaky week last week, but obviously Kenneth Gainwell was involved a lot, and their pass game was looking really good. So other than that, he's been absolutely phenomenal this year. I'm in a tough spot here. I really don't know if I want to. I think I'm like totally going against what I did earlier in picking Tony Pollard, because I'm not going to pick him here, and I'm going to pick someone else at his position. Is it crazy for me to want to pick Breece over Bijan Robinson? I really think I'm going to. As much as I love Bijan and I'm confident in him, and if I'm being honest, this doesn't make any sense. I don't think I would trade Bijan for Breece straight up just because I don't, like personally, that's a personal thing. But I think I'm still picking Breece Hall over Bijan in a rest of season ranking.
I will add in though, because you've already built the team.
Right.
Bijan, you want him to be your PPR guy. Breece isn't that PPR guy. Breece will have more games where he actually busts. Yeah. That's the kind of running back he is.
That's true.
He's a 2-3 rushing touchdown kind of guy. Bijan's a no rushing touchdown.
Still get you 17.
60 yards on the ground, 5 catches for 35, 40 yards. And you're at 16 fantasy points without a touchdown. So there is a big difference there to me, and I agree. I'm just saying I see that.
Right, like you see the vision of the debate, I guess, between Bijan versus Breece. Yeah, Breece has just been, like you said, the focal point of that Jets offense the last few weeks after Robert Salah realized that Dalvin Cook is totally washed. I love when they said we're going to try and trade him. Who wants him? So, yeah, I'm going to rock with Breece Hall here. Ivan, you're on back-to-back picks here, end of the 6th and start of the 7th round. Who are you going to go with?
Yeah, I will take Austin Eckler.
Oh, Eckler's still here. Dude, I totally thought you picked him. I guess I probably would have picked him over Breece. That's all right.
I'll take Eckler, and then I think we've really cleaned up the RB room. Eckler was still there. Obviously, he needs to go. There's a lot of names now. There's a lot
Bijan's
of
still there.
Interesting names. Bijan's there.
Do you guys think another tight end will be drafted?
I could see Hawkins.
Now that I'm thinking about it.
I feel like at that point,
I don't think we've cleaned up the running back rooms per se. I think there's a good amount of RBs that could be picked with these next few picks.
I'm saying I don't think anybody should have already been picked.
Oh, okay, I get what you're saying.
I have one name in my head, and I think you guys will probably call me crazy if I say it. I'm just gonna probably wait on it a little bit, just because I do think it's a little high for him. I'll take Bijan here.
Okay, I like the Bijan pick, and I think I'm gonna back up this pick right away, and I am going to take Tony Pollard here. I think that he just he's still good. He is still a good running back to have on your team. I just don't know if he's in that elite tier, but he could easily get back into that elite tier as the rest of the season goes on. Okay,
he has
Seth.
A pretty tough schedule is the only thing.
That's a really good point. All right, Seth, you are back on the clock here with your 7th and 8th round pick.
So, tough spot.
That it is.
I think I'm between two, I believe. And I think here, I guess it's fine. It's interchangeable. I'm gonna go Jonathan Taylor. Even with the split that they had last week, he still put up 21 fantasy points. You can clearly see the shift is coming. He got his touchdown last week.
It was very noticeable that he's like back.
He got his touchdown, and for the last 2 games, he's actually seen some explosion through the receiving game, which is an aspect that we didn't necessarily see a lot last year. He was just a really good pure runner. So the switch is coming, and I can see him kind of exploding through the rest of the year. And then my second pick, I'm going to go CeeDee Lamb.
Yeah, that's what I was going to do.
And, I was looking here at Adam Thielen and Mike Evans. I really like CeeDee Lamb as, who he is on the Cowboys offense. He's just too solid to pass on.
Yeah, that was going to be my pick if you didn't pick him. I have a question for you guys. I'm not considering picking either of these guys here. I assume that they'll be in contention for the end. Who would you rather have rest of the season? David Montgomery or Raheem Mostert?
David Montgomery.
That's kind of what I was thinking, which is kind of crazy because Raheem Mostert's RB2 right now. But I feel like his floor is just like insanely high when he is healthy, obviously. Okay, so I kind of want to pick a wide receiver here. But I don't know who I'm picking between. It's kind of a tough pickings here with the wide receivers. And then I go right back to that running back room, and it's like I've picked running back the last 2 picks, but like we said, we're not building a team, and I think that there's still some pretty solid options here at running back. I really do think Isaiah Pacheco is like he's become. I traded him away before he went off this year, and I really do regret that because he's been a really good fantasy player. I think that Saquon Barkley still being here is definitely a very good pick. You did? Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, you took him way back then. Yeah, my bad. So he's not here. Josh Jacobs is still here. I think he is a very viable option, even like Joe Mixon, if you are confident that he is going to start to increase his play. Oh, man, this is actually really tough because now I'm like talking myself out of – I was going to pick Saquon. I forgot that you picked him. This website that I have is Brandon Ayuk really high. I'm just not as high on Brandon Ayuk as everyone would think. I don't want to like mess up this pick, I guess, but I'm low-key kind of thinking about taking Hawkinson, but I'm not gonna. Okay. I would say Derrick Henry, but in the world that he gets traded to a situation that hurts him, I'm not gonna. Because fair. I don't know how many situations there are where he goes somewhere and it's like way better than the Titans already is,
I think, and I have to use the same logic as the reason you said you really like Pacheco. I don't necessarily I like Pacheco. Obviously, right. He's going to be good, but if the Chiefs' offense proves anything, it's Patrick Mahomes, it's Travis Kelce, and it's anyone else that they can put on that field, and it's a clear distinction. There's going to be a week where Jerick McKinnon scores 2 touchdowns. And it's like, right. You just rather have that guaranteed if they get to a certain spot on the field, it's going to be this guy.
Yeah. And that's why, that's why I think that with the risk that he gets traded, I think the risk of him getting traded somewhere worse is much greater than the hope that he gets traded to somewhere that's better. Because he already is in a pretty ideal situation in Tennessee, I would think.
I think the only 2 places that have been forecasted for him to go that I could see an absolute benefit to, Ravens, obviously, because they don't really have a running back room that's solidified, and the Bills, because James Cook is shaky and that offense is just too explosive. He's going to get his opportunities.
Yeah.
But everywhere else, don't really see it helping him.
I think so, too. I'm right there with you. God, I just wish you wouldn't have picked CeeDee Lamb because this would just make things so much easier for me. I have a guy that I really do want to pick, but it just seems like an absurd reach, and it's definitely a biased pick as well. I low-key think I'm actually going to take TJ Hawkinson right here. The more and more I look at it, there's good running backs on the board for sure, but I think he probably has solidified himself as tight end 2 for the rest of the year. I think Andrews definitely can get in that talk. I think Laporta has dipped out of that group. He definitely can still be there. But Hawkinson, especially with these 2 other weeks of Jets being gone, is going to help him a lot even more. So I'm going to go with Hawkinson here.
Yeah, the only worry to me about Hawkinson is just Jets comes back, Addison's been doing good. What happens? But I think I just really like when you watch the Vikings play. Like Hawkinson is his check down.
He's pretty involved. Yeah.
He's his 6 to 8 yard completion guy. He's his third down guy. Like short downs, obviously, like Addison or Jets would be like a real like third down and 8. So I think Hawkinson's gonna be good all year.
I would agree.
Yeah.
So your second or your whatever. I'm confused. I was gonna say your second and third last picks. Does that make sense? I don't know.
Second of the last 3.
Your first and your 2 of your 3 last picks.
Yeah, there we go.
It was really difficult to explain that.
To me, I'm only looking at running back. I think you could really argue that, like, what other receiver goes if a receiver goes.
I almost took Zay Flowers, bro.
To me, it's at this point what we've seen. It's probably Thielen to me. Mm-hmm. Just off of like 13 targets a game.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna take a running back with this first one, and I just need to decide if I'm gonna take 2 running backs because I will say my first one I'm taking David Montgomery.
Okay.
Josh Jacobs is close. I just like David Montgomery way too much, and the role is crazy. And the
2 weeks out, and one of them is the bye week, so that's pretty huge. 2 weeks left out. I mean.
I think I'll probably go Josh Jacobs here though.
Okay. I was kind of debating between Jacobs and Derrick Henry with my last pick, and then I just decided to go with TJ. But yeah, I think that it's so hard because Jacobs has been so up and down, and it just kind of depends on what kind of game the Raiders are having. He's had good games with Jimmy, bad games with Jimmy. He's had a good game with Brian Hoyer, and he's had a bad game with Brian Hoyer and Aiden O'Connell, whoever's in. So there isn't much consistency with Jacobs where we had that all year last year, basically. Okay, so for me, I feel like I should probably take Derrick Henry. I think Jalen Waddle is also a wide receiver that maybe you could put in that conversation just because of the Dolphins offense. I do still like Pacheco. I think Mostert also definitely just should get picked. There's a lot of running backs. I think I am going to take Raheem Mostert here, actually. The more and more I talk myself into it, I just think that he's not going to he's not going to completely fall off. He will still have multiple 20-point weeks after Devon Achane comes back.
Yeah, it seems like everybody fears his floor and how bad is it going to get?
I mean, he had 6 this week.
He's the RB2 and Achane played with him half this year.
Exactly. I think
he's going to be fine.
I also think that his floor being low is okay because his ceiling is absurdly high.
Yeah.
He can get you 35 or 7 on any given week, which obviously doesn't make you feel very comfortable, but the fact that he can explode for 35 makes up for the 8-point games.
Exactly.
Can I ask you one question?
Yeah.
What is the separation? Obviously, Raheem Mostert is healthy, but between him and Achane,
fantasy-wise,
is there one?
Like you're saying, they're right next to each other.
Like that. If they're both healthy and it continued after that, that stretch that they had, and they're both still doing this, what's the separation almost?
I think I would have taken Achane if he didn't get hurt.
Right.
Yeah.
Because he's averaging 12 yards a carry.
Mm-hmm.
I was gonna say,
and should he be in here?
I'm low key thinking about it.
I look at that guy when I'm on my fantasy app, and I just think, God, he could be on my team, and I would want him on my team because you just don't know, dude. He seems like one of those guys that's gonna come in at the end of the year and just win leagues.
Kyle and I talked about this. For the entire stretch of this season where he was playing, he was a guy that 5 carries, 200 yards. He's that explosive. And
he did it 3 weeks in a row.
He's and it's one of those things where he can't keep this up, but he has. And
exactly.
Up until he got hurt, he was doing it.
He's averaging 25 fantasy points a game this year.
Yeah.
It's not I really did think that 50-point game or whatever was that's cool. Shout out to him, but you shouldn't even pick him up. Nah. He's averaging 25 points a game with a 2-point game in fantasy in week 2 where he got 1 carry. So I might talk myself into taking him over Raheem Mostert right here. I don't think I'm gonna. But I definitely totally think that it is a viable option to take Devon Achane in this draft because the explodability that he has when he comes back, and hopefully the injury doesn't play too much. It was a hamstring, if I'm not mistaken. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
I've been trying to trade for him off of Chase for the last couple of weeks, and I'm trying to convince him that he has to trade him because he's 2-5 or whatever. But I just don't have anything that's worth giving him.
Like, what would you give though? It's such a hard.
Last week it was gonna be Mixon, but he was on bye. I was thinking like Mixon and a receiver, and he gives me another receiver back. But like, why would he do that?
Yeah.
Just wait 2 more weeks. He has Kamara and Jacobs.
Yeah, like he doesn't need another running
exactly.
back.
So it needs to be for like an elite receiver.
Yeah.
And I ain't giving Diggs, and my other receiver is Zay Flowers. I guess I have Jets, but okay, Seth, you have your final 2 selections here of the fantasy draft. Who you gonna take?
Yeah, sure. Give me. I actually am really thinking about taking Achane now,
dude. It's actually crazy how like well this just gets timed up. Like we're almost at the hour point right now, and it's almost over. Like I had no clue how long this was gonna take.
All right, well I'll take Achane.
Okay,
might as well.
We've talked you into it.
Yep. And I don't have to say much about him now.
Yeah.
The next guy I'm taking, Puka Nacua.
Over Thielen.
Over Mike Evans. And the thing that really sold it is last week.
Yeah.
He had his game. He didn't score a touchdown. He had 154 receiving yards. His target share before Cooper Kupp was 36.8. Target share with Cooper Kupp back, 35.2.
It's pretty incredible.
That's like that was everyone's big thing. Is like Cooper Kupp is a 30% target share kind of guy. Puka Nacua can't keep that up. He has. So
I like that pick. I like Puka, and I think that it's good for Jared as well that Puka is still good because he needs something over there, man. He needs something to help him out. Obviously, Jordan Addison is helping him out a little bit.
I felt so weird putting him bottom 3 today in my rankings, even though he's 4 and whatever.
Oh, yeah. 4 and 3. Yeah. Like, I mean, I think there's a good world where you could argue he's 10th still. But that goes to Cade. Okay, my last pick here. I think I'm going to do something crazy. I think I'm going to take a quarterback, man. And you know who it's going to be? It's going to be Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts is the most touchdown scoring quarterback of all time. I like Josh Allen. I think he is quarterback 1. But the past few weeks with Hurts, this past game was kind of slow to start the year for the Eagles. It's really picked up these last couple weeks. And I just think that the tush push is actually really crazy. I want to see how many games has he got a rushing touchdown in this year, because QBs that get them rushing touchdowns are so valuable. He has had a rushing touchdown in all but 2 games this year out of 7, and in one of those games he had 2 touchdowns. So he has 6 rushing touchdowns in 7 games, also with all the passing ones that he throws. He's also had an interception problem to start this year. I think he's had 8 interceptions so far in only 7 games. I think that he's not going to throw near 20 interceptions by the end of the year. So I think those will go down, and it will result in more fantasy points. So I think Hurts, for me, is QB1 for the rest of the year.
I actually think I agree. When you play Jalen Hurts, it's unlike any other quarterback in fantasy.
It's really terrifying.
When you're playing against him, it's like being killed slowly. It's like being stabbed like once every 10 minutes until you die for a day. That's how it feels, dude, because they don't get first downs, and they're supposed to leave the field, and then they don't, and it turns into fantasy.
And they go for it on 4th down.
I know it's not much, but who's getting the rushing yards on every tush push? Jalen Hurts. He is a benefactor of every explosion in this offense, outside of DeAndre Swift rushing, which has turned into DeAndre Swift might just catch the ball too.
Yeah.
And Jalen, like you said, the tush push rushing yards isn't that big of a deal. Jalen Hurts has had double-digit attempts rushing carries, basically, in all but 3 games. And in those 3 games, it was 9, 9, and 8. So he has had 8 carries in every single game so far this year.
It's just like you said. It's one of those things where, they get to the goal line, and you're just holding your breath for 4 straight plays because you know what's about to happen to you and your team, and you can't stop it, and neither can, a defense. It's insane.
It's like clockwork, dude.
It is.
Okay, let's say it's 1st and 10 on the goal. Swift, 6-yard carry. They're on the 4.
3 times with the tush
One
push.
pass to probably Devonta Smith for a yard.
Yep.
Tush push. Doesn't matter, dude. 3
or
yards,
they get
yards.
Gainwell in there, and he gets you 2 yards, and then they're on the 2.
It just always works out for them to be on. They're on the 1 so much.
Anytime they get inside of the 10-yard line, there is a 95% chance that it ends in a Jalen Hurts touchdown.
Did you guys watch the Eagles-Dolphins game last week? They were on their own 45, 4th and 1. They were like, sure, that's a guaranteed first down.
I think they're converting on 3rd and 1s and 4th and 1s at like 85-90%.
Which is just
I was gonna say last year I think it was 93.
They broke the record they broke the record last year for highest conversion rate on 4th down, which is just like absurd.
Do you guys think the tush push should be banned?
No, I see that. It's this. I think there was an argument for it in the offseason potentially, but with the amount of there's been so many teams that have tried it this year, and none of them can do it, dude. Like,
yeah.
You also have to realize, like, the reason it works for them is they have a quarterback that can squat 500 pounds, and they have the best offensive line in football. When you got Mac Jones and Brock Purdy trying to do that shit, dude, it does not work.
Did you see Kirk try to do it the other day, dude? Kirk got mauled by Fred Warner the other night trying to do it. It was hilarious.
Dude, Fred Warner looked like an animal in that game. That play, he, like, jumped over the line and
There's an argument that I might take Fred Warner with my last pick here. He doesn't even play
fantasy football. Yeah, the tush push argument is if they ban that, it would actually be kind of stupid. Yeah. Because I think the reason is like, oh, it's a rugby play or whatever. I think the only actual argument you have for them banning it is like, sorry, my mic is being really weird right now. I think the only argument you actually have for them banning it is for like injury sake, like if it's clear that it's going to cause injuries to other players. But other than that, dude, like, they can't ban that just because the Eagles are so good at it. Yeah. Do you guys have anything else to say?
We gotta finish the draft.
Oh, we do? I thought that was it.
You and me have to pick.
Oh, shoot. I don't know why I thought that was the last pick.
Am I wrong?
No. You're right. I picked Jalen Hurts, so you have to pick.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's what it was, yes.
Okay, well, that's easy. You can put your laptop away. I think I'm going to take Adam Thielen here.
Yeah.
Sure you didn't want to take the Cowboys defense?
Yes. I've been trying to trade them all week.
I might have taken Jake Elliott. You've actually been trying to trade him. Who's buying that? I picked them up. They were available in one of my leagues just because they got dropped during the bye. Scooped them easily.
My brother in the league that I'm in with him has the Bills defense, Cleveland's defense, the Cowboys defense. Then he has Hawkinson, Kelsey, and Kittle.
What?
That's the draft he went with.
No, he didn't.
Yes, he did.
What are we?
Does he flex one of the tight ends?
Yeah, he does.
Okay, I actually last year I almost, because that was when Andrews was getting drafted really high. I almost took Kelsey and Andrews together, and I did multiple mock drafts doing it, and I was gonna plan the whole thing out, and then it ended up not working out. That's insane that he has 3 tight ends, 3 defenses.
Yeah.
How does the rest of his team look? Bad?
It's awful.
I need to talk to him about that.
He picked up Jerome Ford.
That's nice.
He was his RB because he had Saquon, Nick Chubb. Nick Chubb obviously went down.
Oh,
Saquon
that's so
got hurt early on. Picked up Achane, and then Achane went down.
He's making crazy waiver ads.
Yeah. His team's pretty rough, though.
Yeah, sorry, Sam. Okay, if that's not it, then I think that wraps us up. My mic is being really weird, so we can wrap this thing up right now. Thank you guys for listening. Hopefully you guys enjoy your fantasy weeks this week. Hopefully you win them. And who plays on Thursday this week? It's Bills and somebody. Bills and Bucks. Yeah, so that'll be fun.
Yes, sir.
Thank you guys for joining as always, and peace.